Brad Knowles, welcome to Build Your Empire Through Real Estate. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This is exciting.
Yes, I'm excited to have you here. Tell the listeners where you're from. I'm going to introduce you formally, of course, but tell the listeners where you're from and who you are.
Sure. Yeah. Up here in the Portland, Maine area. Have lived here most of my life, though I took a couple of jaunts away from Maine. Yeah. And yeah, doing the team leader role up here for the Greater Portland Market Center.
Yeah. And Maine, we were just talking about where we were both located. How cold is it there in September?
Oh, it's not bad. I mean, we hit mid 70s today, but it was like 50 this morning out doing the chores in the morning. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. Pumpkin
Yeah.
spice is in the air.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Get ready for fall. Pumpkin spice latte season, as some would say.
Everything. That's it.
Everything. Awesome. Well, Brad, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you with your official bio. I'm so honored to have you on today. We're going to get right into it.
Great.
Brad has been leading Keller Williams offices throughout New England since 2009. Most recently as a team leader for the Greater Portland, Maine office, which is consistently ranked in the top 5 of all KW offices and ranked number 1 in, looks like, for 2022.
Yep.
With over 20 years of experience with Keller Williams Realty as an agent, ALC member, team leader, instructor, and leadership coach, Brad brings a unique perspective and passion to the classes he teaches and those he coaches. He's a graduate of Ithaca College, where he met his amazing wife. They live just outside of Portland, Maine, with their 3 children and many goats. Many goats. All right.
There you go.
There we go.
Goats,
What are their
right?
names? What are their names? People are dying to know. What are their names?
Well, there's 20 of them, so I'm not going to name them all.
Wow.
And every one of them has 4 names because they're registered animals. So, yeah.
So we would be here for the remainder of the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah, that is a secondary podcast we do right after this one.
Yes, the names of all the goats. I love that. Well, Brad, I remember, the first time I ever got the opportunity of meeting you, one, I was so impressed by obviously being number 1 in any facet, top 20 in any company within over 1,000 different offices is huge. You guys have been number 1. You remain in the top 5. Tell me one of the successes that you've had in this role, or one of them that you've had that you would attribute to that kind of success.
Sure. I mean, there's a couple of things that come to mind. One is going to feel overly simplified, which is sticking to it. I think a lot of people get into this role and get out of the role quickly, and they miss the opportunity to build momentum. And building momentum is critical in this role. So, I was just teaching a class today and we were talking about farming. If you were going to farm a geographic region, you wouldn't expect to get a return on that investment in the first few months. The MREA book says you should expect to spend 18 months doing that before you get a predictable return. Well, a lot of people get in and out of their team leader role before that predictable return starts showing up. So I do think just continuing to show up, just continuing to be consistent in the role is a really big part of any success for anybody in the real estate world. So I don't want to undermine that. But I also think that we really leaned in hard in COVID. We leaned in hard. We started doing what James Shaw continues to do. We started doing every single day with our office. We had a 2-hour Zoom, started at 8:00 in the morning. It went for 2 hours every single day. We did that for months. That moved into weekly. Then I started doing just kind of morning stuff. I would do morning videos to our office, almost like a letter to everybody every morning kind of a thing. A little bit of mindset, a little bit of fun, just making fun of myself, things like that. But, that's been consistent. We're 5+ years in. And so it helps with retention. It helps with connectivity. It helps as an additional platform to get the word out. So I think just consistently doing that has been huge.
And what I love about that, Brad, and what I know about you is consistency, not perfection, right?
Oh, yeah.
It is just showing up and doing it regardless of what it looks or sounds like. And I'm always a firm believer in if you're not offending somebody along the way, you're probably not reaching enough people.
Right.
We
Yeah.
can't make everybody happy, and consistency, not perfection. What do you have to
Yeah.
say about that?
Yeah. If it required perfection, I'd been dragged out and shot a long
Yeah.
time ago because I'm
Yeah.
never hitting that ever. I'm married to somebody who really strives for that, and believe me, I'm not. I don't have that DNA at all. So, but for me, that's a blessing. I know a lot of people struggle with it, and that can be really hard when you really want something to be perfect before you take that first step. And especially in a leadership role of any kind, it's never going to be there.
Mhm.
The timing's never going to be right. We just had this. I'll give you a quick example.
Please.
Um, we taught a class today. We do this little back to school thing in the fall. It's a great little class. We're several years into it, and today was we were planning for it for months. And then we had a coach kind of sit with our staff and kind of give us a different perspective on some of the things going on in our market center. And as soon as we wrapped up with the coach, I said, you know what this means, right? We have to throw out everything that we've worked on for back to school. Everything that we were going to talk about, we have to throw out the window, because this just pointed out the fact that we're not defending our commission well on the buy side of deals. We're losing ground in terms of listings versus buyers. And we're not doing as good a job as we thought we were in terms of getting our listings sold. And that's where our agents are struggling. And the numbers prove it. And that wasn't what we were going to talk about. So throw it away. And in 1 week, we rewrote, redid slides, redid material, set up new panelists, everything. And we just gave that class today. So if we had waited for perfection, we would have delivered the wrong material. So, I mean, we were handing out, no joke, the manuals were warm because we had just printed them. So I just think, especially in a world where the dial is moving constantly, I mean, everything's just moving constantly. You can't wait for perfection. You can't. It's just not. It's not an option.
It's not. And what comes to mind for me is you had made that example, and I thought, and had you waited for perfection, you probably would have missed the mark on what the market actually looked like, the pulse of the market at the time in which you needed to deliver the message, right?
Correct. It takes perfection takes time,
Mm.
and with certain things, I can come up with some examples, like, doing the engineering for for a bridge crossing a river. Like, yeah, we're not going to rush that. We're not going to rush that. We're going to wait till the math is right. Right. But for most stuff that we do, no, timeliness tends to matter more.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I love this next question because it ties into kind of our messaging of consistency. And for those that are with us, I should mention Brad has over almost 500 agents in his brokerage, 495 to be exact. I mean, when you took over, Brad, what was that number, if you don't mind me asking?
I think we were at 300 when I first.
Okay, and in how long did it take you to get to 5? We'll round up by the 5.
Yeah. That's been 7 or 8 years to get there.
Okay.
Honestly, we've been sitting at 5 for several years, though I think we did a lot of really good stuff during COVID. That explosive growth, we haven't recaptured that in the last few years, even though we've been grossing well over 100 agents a year and keeping our, attrition rate very low. We haven't really moved the dial. I would have hoped by now we would have been at 650. So that's a big opportunity for us to break through right now. Big opportunity for us to break through.
Yeah. And I know from just our minimal conversations, though, I will highlight that though we are talking about the overall number, you guys have earned the right to be a little bit more selective in who you do and do not get into business with, right? Tell me a little bit about when you attract agents in the community, right? Who are you looking for?
Yeah, and I will say, especially if you're a newer team leader on here, I will say I made the mistake that most team leaders make. And for many years, I was stuck in a gear of warm body. Yes, come on. And I don't think it's an ignorant move. I think it's an overly optimistic move, right? We tend to be optimistic people if we're going to be a good fit for this role. We tend to see the best in people. And so we can literally build a bridge in our head going, yeah, I know you showed up with one shoe on, but I could see how you could get there. So let's give you a chance, right?
Yeah.
And over time and with profitability, you do start to earn the right to be more selective. And guess what? That helps you stay in business with really good people.
Yeah.
The one of the things I teach our teams all the time, and it applies directly to a Keller Williams Market Center, is if you get into business with poor performers, they will only drive away your top performers.
Wow.
I mean,
That's
think
powerful.
about a real estate agent's team, right? Yep. They've got 2 rock star agents on the team, and then they've got 3 people who are kind of sucking pond water. The longer we stay in business with those 3, the more likely the other 2 are going to leave. And so our brokerage is the same. Like, we either need to be building them up and getting them into production, or getting out of business with them. And the best way we do that is be better gatekeepers up front. Yeah. Be a better gatekeeper.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick example of something we've done over the last, and again, this is an evolution. It's an evolution. But over the last several years, I've gotten very adamant that our entire administrative team, MCA, agent services, you name it, and our entire coaching program, all they have to do is say, I don't think we should be in business with this person. That's it. They come to me. We've got to, and again, this applies to new people, new to the industry. But the second my business coach knows, like, not seeing it, Brad, great. Let's help them move on to something else. Yeah. Let's help them move on.
Yeah. You said for new agents, let me ask you, have you ever had to part ways with a producer?
2 of our top 10 producers this year we had to fire.
Wow.
2 of the top 10.
Wow.
Yeah. Not fun. I've only had to do it a couple other times in my career. Been TLing for about 15 years. Only had to do it. Yeah, it's a handful of times. So if you're doing this all the time, you need to look in the mirror. Okay? Because this is not a common thing. No. And it does happen, and you have to be open to it. So yeah, we had 2 people who, production-wise, every brokerage in America wants to be with them. Every brokerage in America wants to be with them. But cultural-wise, how they treated other people, stuff like that, no, we had to get out of business with them. And that's okay. And that's okay.
Yeah, yep. Absolutely. Wow, very powerful stuff. Thank you for sharing so vulnerably, because I know there's a lot of people on here that are getting a ton of takeaways, and we're having more of a tough conversation today, right? Not everybody wants to have to part ways with those type of producers and people that they probably have great relationships with too.
Yes, absolutely. And genuinely, not lip service, wish them the very best. Both of them, we have an in-house title company. Both of the people who I'm, referring to, both of them are great partners in that title company. And again, just because somebody wasn't a good fit for us doesn't mean they're not a good fit for the industry and And these are not things we move to quickly, right? There's a long process before we decide to part ways with somebody who's a good producer. But you have to leave the door open to that, in the same way that they have to leave the door open to that with you. Hey, KW's been great for me. It's been this, it's been that. But, there's times where things go sideways and somebody has to go, I gotta make a change. So
yeah, absolutely. Out of curiosity, I'm sure some are dying to know, what does that conversation look like for you? I get this question asked all the time from leaders in our industry. When somebody calls you, if they give you that opportunity, to let you know that they're deciding to go somewhere else, and you really genuinely in your heart of hearts believe that you guys are still the right fit for them, and you want to remain in business with them, and they've given you the opportunity to maybe have that conversation. How do you handle that?
Well, first off, that's one of the conversations I want to have in person. I think many times we hamstring ourselves in conversations in general. This is a great point I think you can bring to your agents. Don't have a phone conversation over text, and don't have a face-to-face conversation over a phone.
Love that.
Right? You lose huge percentage points of communication every time you take away some of those tools, right? So I get to see your face, I get to see your facial expressions, da, da, da. So I'm getting a good sense of our conversation. I'd get an even better sense if we were in the same room, right? So for a challenging conversation like what you're saying, or a price reduction conversation with a client, or right, or a counter offer conversation on a tricky offer, and da 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 da. I want to do everything I can to improve the odds that communication happens. That what I'm sharing is what they're hearing, and vice versa. So it also gives, I think, people a lot of opportunity to see. And maybe this is something I do well. I think it's tough to discern for yourself. But I think one of the things they see is that, I'm not dragging them out at 8 a.m. and shooting them, right? That's not what's happening.
Thank God.
That no matter what, I care about them and I love them. And I truly want what's best for them. Yeah. And so if we've got a trusted relationship, then we'll have that conversation. We'll have it in person. More often than not, it doesn't change things. I'll be honest. More often than not, it doesn't change things. However, the number of people we've been able to get back in business with because of how we got out of business with them, that to me is a big deal. That's a big deal. So you've really got to treat people well when they're walking out of the door, not just when they walk in the door. And I think also, being honest with them, and helping them, maybe from more of a coach's perspective than a team leader perspective, helping them to just do an analysis. So I understand you're looking to make a move. So you're thinking about ABC Realty. Great. Have you thought about XYZ Realty? Because here's what I know about hey, if we're talking about making a move, let's get it all on the table. Here's what those guys offer, but here's what these guys offer. Now, what about the KW? So what you're saying is the training they have over there and da-da-da. Okay, great. I do at least half the training in our market center. I haven't seen you in a class in 6 months. So you're making a move for training, but you don't take advantage of the training that you have currently. How soon do you think that's going to be the case over there?
Love it.
Right? I think asking some powerful questions, let the silence do the heavy lifting, right? It helps to have people see things from a different perspective. And it's only if we shift the perspective will you actually change the outcome of that. But I think the best way to do that is to walk into that conversation, number one, caring about them, and number two, don't be tied to a particular outcome. Yeah. If you really care about them, right, then we don't have the answer walking into that conversation. If all I care about is my numbers at Keller Williams, then I already have an answer, and now I'm just trying to coerce them into staying.
Right.
Well, that's not about them. That's about me. Right. So I got to make it all about them.
So many powerful nuggets that you just said. I mean, one thing that caught my attention that I absolutely love is, and will use, is don't have a phone conversation over text and don't have a face-to-face conversation over the phone. I mean, I can't tell you how many people, executives, in our industry, not in our industry, will try to put it in an email. It's not even a text, right? It's just
Yeah, even worse.
And even worse, where it's before even the text, maybe it's the number one overlooked, right? And so that was just so powerful. Another thing that caught my attention that I want to reiterate is that you mentioned the word coaching and consulting multiple times. When I asked you the question about if somebody is going to leave you and give you the opportunity to essentially retain them, how do you handle it? And what I heard was that you're having a simple, powerful, deep question coaching conversation, which I have with clients all the time who come to me and go, I'm just a recruiter. My mindset, we're just recruiters. I'm just a recruiter. And I said, interesting, right? We seek to understand, tell me more, whatever that might be. And what I think is so magical about what you just said and so overlooked, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this, is as team leaders or anybody for that industry who's responsible for the growth of their company, they are having deeper coaching and consulting conversations to find those that they believe they can truly help and in turn grow their company. Yeah. It is so different than recruiting because, quite frankly, in the role myself, I would have loved to have woken up with 50 different resumes every day like a recruiter. And I can tell you that never happened.
Nope.
No. So,
Yeah,
so
no.
tell me a little bit about that mindset shift and perspective, because I know you as a coach as well are dealing with, I'm sure, team leaders and other individuals who have come to you feeling the same way.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I think the first thing I would say is if you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you say, I'm a recruiter, then you're right. That's how you're showing up and that's how you see it. And so, yes, you're a recruiter. I just think that I think you can get to a higher level of success by not having that view. I think if you go into it going, I'm here to lead. And by lead, I have to serve, which means I have to put everybody else first. So that includes my staff. That includes our vendor partners. That includes the agents we're in business with. And that includes the agents in our industry. I'm here to serve those people. It's just everybody. No big deal, right? You're on the bottom of the pile. You're not on the top of the pile. And how can we best serve them? Well, first, get to know them. Get to understand them. What makes them tick, right? What is it that they're looking for? And then, sure, if there are some tools and there are some specific things about Keller Williams that can help them get there, maybe even get there quicker, then that's probably an important conversation to have. But it has to start with them, because everything else is pretty superficial. I think recruiting as just a standalone thing is pretty superficial. That's AT&T trying to get me away from Verizon. Well, how are they doing that? We'll make it easy for you. We'll lower your monthly bill. We'll let you have 3 free lines. Well, you're trying to buy me over. You're trying to buy me over. That's a technique. I just want to be clear here. That is a technique. Great. I don't want to be in that business personally.
Yeah.
I want to be in relationship with business owners. And I want to be getting into relationship with other business owners that maybe down the road we could be a good fit for.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's a coaching consultative conversation.
Yeah. Well, and what I was going to say is that, ladies and gentlemen, is why he has built a team of almost 500 agents, right? It's very true, right? And so if you've been leaning into it in one way and it's not working for you, maybe listen to this and give it a different try. Look at yourself differently, because what you seek, you find. As you said, if you wake up every morning and tell people or tell yourself, I'm a recruiter, tell other people you're a recruiter, guess what? Like you said, you're right.
You're right.
Exactly that.
Then you are.
I love that. Yeah. So many golden nuggets. What is a piece of advice that you've received in this role, or just being in the industry for the last 20 plus years, that you can absolutely not live without?
Well, I think for your agents, I think this is something that we don't communicate enough. And I think it makes a huge difference for your agents, and it helps to take a world that's full of distractions and options and try this new shiny toy and really boils it down. And it's directly from Gary. And it's until you have enough leads that when properly converted, you hit all your financial goals, you only have one problem, and it's lead generation.
The leads problem.
And I think the vast majority of stuff we talk about is what you do after you have enough leads. And the vast majority of agents don't have enough leads. And so, I think people like to avoid the conversation. And so what we really need to do is keep them focused on, until you fix that, you haven't fixed anything and there's no other issue. So I think in terms of how do you consult other people, I think you start there. And the cool thing is, if, for the vast, 95% of people in the real estate industry, it's still their main problem. It's still their main problem. I'd say number 2, in terms of the TL role specifically, I would say that you have to come at it with humility. And I think that I can't point to anybody having told me that necessarily, but I've watched so many good leaders in our company show me that. You have to be humble. Because if you don't have that, it's hard to put other people first. And I think that's what leadership is all about, is really putting other people ahead of you. That starts with humility. Going, hey, I'm not here for me. I'm here for them. What can I do to help them? And if that can be your focus every morning, I think it's very hard to imagine a situation where you don't thrive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're putting everybody else first.
Yeah. And what I love about this podcast in particular, Brad, and all of your knowledge is this can be well received and really implemented even into a top agent or an agent who's looking to grow a team. I mean, we're talking higher level, like it is just copy paste, right? I think so many times team leaders think, and this is my favorite conversation, I think I've said it in a podcast many months ago, speaking to another leader in our industry, is I get a lot of team leaders or just, again, leaders of brokerages who will come and say, I've never sold 50 million in volume. How do I have a conversation? How do I coach? And I always will ask them, wow, how many agents do you have in your brokerage? They're like, well, 150 or whatever it is. Awesome. How much volume did you guys do last year? Whatever it is. Oh, 300 million. Oh, really? Yep. So tell me a rainmaker or top agent in your area who's done that level of production. And it's always in that moment. It's never failed with that question. Do you see a light bulb?
Yeah. Yeah. And I pulled a couple of numbers just for our conversation, and year to date, we just hit the $1 billion mark, right?
Nice.
So we hit 1.1 billion for the year so far. Our peak year, I think, was 2022. Mm-hmm. We hit 2 billion. We'll hit 1.5, 1.6 this year. And no one else in the state of Maine is going to come even close to that for the whole year. Mm-mm. But what's also true is I haven't sold a home since 2009. Both can be true. Both can be true, right? I run the largest real estate team in the state of Maine, and I'm not selling. Again, this goes back to humility. I don't know what's going on in the market today. I run the biggest team, but I don't know what's going on in the market. So I have to talk to my agents. They have to teach me what they're experiencing. They have to be my teacher before I can be their teacher, right?
Oh, I love that so much. It was exactly what helped me get over that mindset shift with an early mentor on myself. And I'm just so honored to be able to help others now with the same shift.
That's great.
Myself too. It was the exact same thing. I think in 2022, we did about 3.3 billion in 2022. Yeah. And I just thought to myself, there's no one even remotely close.
Oh yeah.
In even surrounding states, it was combined. And I thought, wow, how cool. And humility, right?
Right.
I can learn a lot from those around me, and I need to in order to continue to have powerful conversations with our top people. And it was exactly what helped us get to the point where, you guys are today. And I love that. It's so great. It's so great to talk to another leader with such a large abundance mindset like yourself. Leave those that are still with us. What is a piece of advice that you would love to give other leaders in our industry still with us at this moment?
Well, I already mentioned one, let the silence do the heavy lifting. It's hard to help people if you're the one doing all the talking, right? So as much as I enjoy being on the podcast, I much prefer having other people, sharing their stuff. So, let the silence do the heavy lifting, I think is hugely underutilized. And then the other thing I would say, and again, I think this is we're living in this world of distraction constantly. Mm-hmm. Learn how to become a better listener. Learn how to become a better listener. People are telling you volumes in the few words that they're saying, but you have to really be listening, right? You have to be listening to what they're not saying. You have to be listening in between the words. You have to be listening to how they're saying it. Again, you handicap yourself when you try to do that with an email or a text or a DM. It gets better when you talk with them on the phone. It's great in person, but you really have to become a skilled listener. And one of the greatest things that our industry has given us is people are getting awful at it. Right?
Very true.
So if you get halfway decent at it, you're suddenly above and beyond, and you stand out because people aren't having that experience anymore. They're not having anyone sit down and really listen to them. So if you take that time and you allow you ask an important question and you allow the silence to do the heavy lifting, you will help people move. You'll move in their thinking. They'll move in what they view as important. They'll move in so many different ways. So I really encourage you to do those two things.
I love it so much, Brad. It has been such a pleasure, honor, and a gift to speak with you today. Truly, so many. I mean, I was thinking at one point, I'm like, I should take notes during these calls because I'm talking to such incredible leaders. I've had so many personal takeaways. So thank you.
I think you're recording it.
That's true. But I'm a writer. I got it. It's ingrained up here, right?
Me too.
There you go. You're like, I got mine too. Well, exactly. Brad, if anybody else wants to get a hold of you, where can they find you? And of course, this will be up on our socials as well, and we will make sure to tag you. But where can people find you if they would like more?
Yeah, bknowles@kw.com. I'll give you my cell phone number, 207-808-9177.
I love it.
I give it out to everybody, and guess what? Not that many people call.
Hey, so that's okay.
Giving it out.
I keep giving it out until they do. That's what I always say. There you go.
That's right.
I love it, Brad. Thank you. Thank you again. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. This was great.